Took 300 years for some virgin to light a candle. Man, we joked for about 2 seconds before this started that the whole video should just be, wow, that movie is extremely 90s, and then just cut to credits. That's all you need. It's done.
That's it. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Happy Halloween.
I guess. I was excited to do this because, you know, it's been a little bit. We've only had Man On one other time, and it's the most watched, not Gurren Lagann fresh takes off thing we've gotten. People loved that Top Gun video, so.
Oh, you guys are welcome. I'm sure Top Gun Maverick's success had nothing to do with it.
Nothing whatsoever. None. It's not like it's like the 5th highest grossing film of all time now domestically.
Probably 4th by the time this. It'll probably be 4th by the time this comes out.
Let's go for number 1. I want to knock Mike's favorite movie that just got re-released off. It's had Too Good for Too Long.
13 years, almost undefeated.
I want to see Tom Cruise kill a Navi. I want to do it.
So Hocus Pocus. Anyway, so I like every other kid, or I thought until I became an adult, had seen this movie about 60 times when I was a kid. And apparently not, though, because every time around Halloween comes, I'll get a brand new person that goes, yeah, I've just never seen it. Like, what year were you born? Like 92? How? What turn of event? Like, did you have cable? Yes. Did you not turn the TV on?
I have a good excuse. I'm born 97. I have a good excuse why I didn't see it until college, though.
Why is that?
Okay, so it's a long-winded story, everybody. So it's gonna take a while, but so my mom loves Wizard of Oz. Okay, she loves it. My 2 sisters, grown up, they loved it, so I watched it and was traumatized by the Wicked Witch of the West. I kid you not, it took me until high school to go back and watch that movie for the trauma to end. So growing up, obviously this movie was on ABC Family and ABC and Disney, but even though they didn't look like them, I just associate any witch with Wicked Witch of the West. I was like, no, fuck that movie. No. So that's why I didn't see it until I was in college. And then in college, I remember it's like a Saturday morning. It's October. So obviously Hocus Pocus is on like 97 different times on ABC Family. Or I think it was Freeform by that point. And my sister had put it on. And I was just kind of lackadaisically watching it. And then I started getting really into it. And like it was silly and stupid. But like, I was like, man, you know what? It knows it's still stupid. And then I'm like, I love this. And now thanks to Disney Plus, I can watch it like anytime I want.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But that's why I didn't see it. I because of childhood trauma brought on by a classic film, I avoided this movie.
Oh yeah. That's what like that's the part I forget until I watch it. Like it's in the back of my brain, but I just forget how fully aware this film is and it's being dumb. It's like certain line deliveries and almost every single one of them is by Sarah Jessica Parker.
But this is the thing. So this movie is directed by Kenny Ortega, who obviously goes on to direct the High School Musical films, which is the same thing. They're movies that know exactly what they are, don't try to sell you that they're anything more, and that's why people love them, even though they're dumb and they're stupid. And I think that's the thing. I think kids, and then the kids like us who grow into adults after watching these movies, are still able to go back to them because they were like, well, it wasn't trying to tell us as children that it was this smart thing. It was like, nah, hey, you want to spend an hour and a half with these crazy old ladies being witches and these actually pretty decent child actors? Sure, all right, go and enjoy it.
Yeah. It basically has the energy of like your crazy aunts celebrating on Halloween.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And a lot.
And probably there's a group of kids out there who have 3 crazy aunts who dress up as these women every year.
I sometimes forget, well, the line reads I was talking about, like when to jump ahead a little, when they put the truck up against the house and flash the lights to make it look like daylight savings time, they melt down, and then like Sarah Jessica Parker at the very end, it hurts. It falls over just the dumb lights, or it's like the raining fire of death. He makes fire with his hands. That's the stupid, purposely dumb line reads. I'm like, I love it. It's so good. But I forget how horny this film gets at certain points. Like
it's incredibly horny.
When the three girls go on the bus, we are in need of children. It may take me a few times, but I'm up for the challenge.
Then you get Gary Marshall, who's married to his sister in this universe, and is totally fine trying to bang three women while his wife is in the house.
See, they call me master.
I don't know if you guys follow him at all, but Nostalgia Critic did his clipless review of this, and when it gets to that part, it's just and now time for a 60s idol that only the parents in the theater will recognize, and all the kids will go, who?
Exactly.
Yeah, accurate.
There's no purpose for Gary Marshall to be in this movie except for every adult in 1993 go, oh, that's Gary Marshall. We like him.
Exactly.
He made that Pretty Woman movie 3 years ago that I love.
Exactly. What is this kid's film? Oh, pretty much. And the other most 90s thing before we get too far from the immediate, it's not the same person that does it every time, but it's the always kid driving through town music track wave.3. It's always the same type of music. You can tell it without even seeing a film that I was like, that was in a 90s movie. I can't tell you what it was, but it was there.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's the Joe Dante, Steven Spielberg. We gotta make sure people understand that this is a nice, quaint old town that was built in the 1500s. So we're gonna have him just ride his bike whimsically through the town, or his car, or in Gremlins walk through the snow. Like all those movies, it's the same thing. It's like Poltergeist. Me and Pat Campbell were talking about that. Poltergeist is the same thing. It's any town USA. Like it's those shots where you're just like, oh, this is a quaint town. This is a nice town.
Yep,
it's nice.
Definitely got Home Alone vibes from this one specifically, just because.
Yeah.
Just because they're close. They're like closer in age.
Yes.
And not only that, I got. It was probably because this morning I was watching part of the movie on Showtime, but I also got like Karate Kid vibes from this watching it this time, because is very much, it's that coming of age story, and it's funny that it's just coast swapped. In Karate Kid, it's the East Coast kid going to the West Coast, and then here it's the West Coast kid. But in both cases, I like it because it's the characters stand out because they just are programmed differently because of their coast. So obviously Max is cool, laid back. LA, they don't believe in that stuff, whereas in Salem, they do believe in all this stuff. And it's kind of fun. And I think that's why his relationship with Allison works, because she's like the ultimate Salem person. Like her mom ran the museum, so she's been fed with this since she was a kid. And Max is just like, this is dumb. Like the first interaction with them, to where he's like, homie was invited by the candy company. She's like, no, it's St. Hallows Eve.
Yes.
And then Max, look, shoots his shot, and good for him, and it ends up working for him in the end.
Yeah. That was the most like, wow, you just embarrassed me. By the way, here's my number. The size of the gonads on that guy. He just got blown up in the middle of class. Well,
I wish I had half of his confidence.
Yeah, no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At that age, I could have took the world on.
Dude, I'm 25 and I can barely approach girls now, let alone when I was, what is he got to be 15?
I think that was the general idea, because most of the people in town were still shocked that he was a virgin. So,
okay, let's talk about what is with this movie and its virgin shaming. They bring it up so many times, like the scene with the fake cop. They gotta bring up the use of virgin. The guy makes fun of him, which, by the way, dude, you could totally be arrested for pretending to be a cop. It doesn't matter if it's Halloween, okay?
Yeah.
Like, there's just, and literally the last line of the movie is once again making fun of the fact that the kid's a virgin. Kenny Ortega, what are you trying to tell us? What happened in the deleted scenes of High School Musical between Troy and Gabrielle that we didn't see?
It's like I hadn't
Were they
seen
soaring and flying?
Maybe. I hadn't seen this movie for probably it was last year, so I would have been 30. I probably had not seen it for like 18 years.
Yeah.
And then we watched it at my local theater because my roommate's whole like group of siblings had not seen it. And we're just driving around, all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, are you seeing Hocus Pocus this Friday?" I'm like, "Yeah, I haven't seen it forever. I probably will." "Oh, cool, you could be there for our first time." Immediately jams on brakes. What? Like, yes, we're going. And then we get to watch the movie, and like you said, as that's going, I'm like, I kind of want to have a clicker. How many times did I say it in the fucking movie? Because that was one part I totally forgot. I remember you had to be a virgin to light the candle, but
and it's not even like they're jokes. Like it's not even like, oh, this is just a running joke. It's just like a thing they're pointing out repeatedly.
Yeah, it's like explicitly part of the plot. Which, okay, sure.
Yeah, it's weird. I do have to say though, on that, it is funny when it first comes up, and he's like, he says to Alice, he's like, "You want to light the candle?" Once again, Max shooting a shot there.
Yes, exactly. It's like, no, I'm good.
Can you light this candle?
It's like, what have you got going on? That dude, again, ounce of that dude's courage. But man, one thing that shocked me every time I see this, the like CGI for Thackeray when he's the cat is shockingly good in most parts.
Yeah. It's probably because they use it pretty sparingly.
Yeah.
Probably why. Like, it's one of those that I think had they used it more, it probably would have been terrible. I mean, this movie came out the same year as Jurassic Park, which is probably why Disney could not get Isla to do VFX.
Probably.
They're like, we're a little busy trying to make dinosaurs real, okay? No, we cannot make your witch movie.
It's why some of the other effects in this film don't hold up quite as well. Like you can sort of see the seams,
but there is a charm to that. I think with this movie. There's a charm to it, and I think it's one of those things that whether it was intentional or not. But then you come back and you're just like, Doug Jones's makeup is fantastic in this movie.
It was really good. And okay, another thing of like being a kid back then, I have to ask you guys two questions. One, was the term yabos for boobs ever a thing when you were younger?
I do not recall.
No, I don't remember that. Time. No, because that every time I watch the movie and that happens, I'm like, one, he never even says anything about that when he's on the bed imagining her, and two, that wasn't a phrase.
No. But, I don't know if that was just an East Coast thing, but like Mike's from New York.
I'm also from New York.
There we go. I'm from Midwest. I'm on the exact chunk of where it cuts off in Wisconsin, and yabos never hit.
Maybe it's a West Coast thing because we got a middle America and we got two East Coasters.
That is true. They are from LA. That is a good point.
Anyone from LA who was around in the 90s, was yabos a term you used
for boobs? Because I don't get it, but you know, I used boobs when I was younger. That's just what I said. And did you want Max's room?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, every time I watch this movie, I'm just like, the stairs up to like the lighthouse, like I'm like, damn, that's a pretty cool room. You gotta be honest, Max.
Magic romantic nights with a girl with that. Be like, yo, we could go watch the sunset up in my like cellar room. Like,
that's saying, Max, you got a pretty good deal moving out of LA. You lost the smog, you get actual seasons, and you got a pretty cool setup.
Exactly. That and Hey Arnold's in Arnold's room.
I
wanted. Although in reality, I think it would be a nightmare having Arnold's room when it was actually like summer.
Yeah.
Yes. Probably.
That hit me later on. Although I did want his couch that folded out of the wall.
And talk about Max and the multiple Nike promotions throughout this film.
Yeah, how many shots of his shoes do we see?
Well, it's shoes, and then it's also at the end, they make it very clear that Max is using his Nike baseball bat carrier.
That's right.
The shoes are so cool that Ice just had to have them.
Oh my god, Ice.
It was the precursor for Mr. Cool Ice. How?
Fucking second-rate bullies from Power Rangers.
It was
Bulk and Skull. It's literally so it's the same setup. It's a heavyset guy and a Finn guy.
Except Bulk and Skull are somehow like the
Funny.
jock cool kids compared to them.
Yeah, that's again going back to the nostalgia review. It's just like when he's like, "You made fun of me in front of all the guys at school." That's all the guys in school.
I said the exact same thing. I'm like, wait, that's half.
You
Also,
Salem.
I'm not from Massachusetts. I live on Long Island. But like those guys would not have been cool in my high school. I don't know about you guys, but those guys,
absolutely
no.
not.
No. Once again, I was going high school in the 2010s, but I feel like even in the 90s, they would not have been cool.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's why they're making fun of Max. Maybe they're that kind of like, I'm a nerd, so I need to make fun of another nerd. Like their opening scene when they're like, got any smokes? I'm just like, you've never smoked in your life. If Max did, you would light it and be like,
no, what? They don't even call it a smoke. What do they call it?
Something else.
I can't remember. It was a slang terms for everything, but it's just like
another yabos.
Your bullying tactic is to steal his shoes.
I do have to say that leads to a great joke when he comes home and he's all pissed off, and Mom is like,
"Oh yeah,
does he not have shoes?" And Dad's like, "It's probably a rebellion of some sort."
It was early signs of Mike's dad from Stranger Things with me. It's like these dang kids, I just don't understand them.
Which the parents I actually really like in this movie, because when we check back in with them at the party, I love that the dad's like Dracula and Max. I love how at first he's just like, oh, look, I want to suck your blood. But the minute he starts talking about his sister and probably is like, okay, what's going on? Like, I love how it's not like, I'm going to keep, it's like, no, my kid's in danger. What's going on here? Yeah. Like, I like that because that's very rare you see that in these movies. Normally, it's the goofy parents. It's just like, no, he's a real parent. Yeah, he's having fun until he's like, oh shit, my kids are in danger. Probably should check in on this.
Yeah, it would have been, no, she's fine. But yeah, it's typically you get the Home Alone parents that somehow forget their kid at an airport multiple times.
Yeah, that was pretty common in the 90s. You know what else was pretty common? The random party in the middle of the movie.
You gotta have
talk about how great the "I Put a Spell on You" dance number in performances.
Oh,
it didn't need to be.
It is like the highlight of the film.
It's the Johnny Be Good scene from Back to the Future. It has no true purpose to be in this movie. If you deleted it, the rest of the film continues perfectly fine, and yet it's wonderful that it's in the movie.
Exactly. And it's just it's the song magical dance number of the version of the Power Rangers movie when they mind control all the parents to walk towards the gorge.
And then they make them say gibberish. Which once again, this is I'll try to not keep quoting this review, but in the soundtrack when they do that part and they're just like, you just said these words. Why do you think we're going to be able to repeat them back to you?
Fantastic. Oh yeah.
I'm not paid by Doug Walker, by the way. I just show for him for free.
Hey man, everybody's got their fans. I get it.
But yeah, this movie's so much fun, and what I also like about it is it's got a nice heart to it. It's from the very beginning, it's a story about siblings and more specifically brothers and sisters and sort of the lengths that two brothers will go for their little sisters. It's why I love the climax so much. And it's actually one of my favorite climaxes in a Disney movie. I have a video I'm working on about this because that's what it's about. It's about Max, who was sort of standoffish about his sister and all this stuff. It's like he's literally willing to die for his sister.
Yeah.
Like he has that choice. He's like, no, let me do this. And it's great. And the last shot of the movie with the two of them, it's sweet. And yeah, and I would feel remiss to go through this conversation not mention Thackeray's actor James. I was about to say Marsden, not Marsden. It's the other James from the 90s. What is it? Oh God! See, I have
actually, you're
Marsden
right. It is James Marsden.
Oh, it is.
Yep.
Are you for real?
Yeah, James Marsden does the voice of the cat.
No, it's not Cyclops.
Shut up. That's
It's
James
not.
Marsden?
No, let me.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Jason Marsden.
Jason Marsden.
I was going to be like, shut the hell up. That's Cyclops.
But okay, this is so obviously Jason Marsden was a huge Disney person. The same year he had his short stint on Boy Meets World for the first season. Following this, he plays Max in a Goofy movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is my question. Why'd you have to get another dude to do the body? Like, you look at him and he was also in Full House. He was one of DJ's boyfriends.
Okay.
This is the same year as the first season of Boy Meets World, and if you look at that, he doesn't look like a 45-year-old. I feel like he could have pulled off a young, like, I just have never understood. I'm like, why'd you get another dude to do the body if you were just gonna voice him over? Just use Jason.
I never understood that.
It's weird.
Maybe it's just like the other guy couldn't do a good voice. Was it a Vader situation where like he had
Could be
bad whatever?
It's possible.
I don't know. But like going back to the siblings thing, like how that Thackeray was happy to just be the family cat.
Yeah. He was totally content with that.
Yeah.
Which again, leads to a great joke when she's talking about like, you're getting 200 days. Like, you're not going to turn me into one of those fat, useless house cats, are you?
It's like,
and then it's funny that part of the movie, which is which again, I just watched Poltergeist, so it's in my head, but that's sort of like, we think we've defeated the evil entity. It's not. The movie's still going, which means it's not over yet. That whole section is really sweet, between talking about keeping, you're a denizen now, and then the Max and the Allison stuff and the salt and everything. And then it's just like, as per usual, stupid people will be stupid. They open the book. If they literally just waited a couple of hours,
yeah, the movie could have ended right there.
Their problems would have been solved. But again, then we don't
take me towards the window.
Movie.
I can watch the sunset as it passes away. Please, Bette Midler is so good.
Gosh, she's fantastic.
I love also the fact that this movie is getting a sequel. I looked up the box office. This thing made under half or under 2 times its budget.
But
the reason why it's getting a sequel is literally just because
people have been making up that it's been getting a sequel for 20 years.
Well, not only that, it's just like I said, Freeform, this movie, if you look at, they dropped their schedule, it's playing like practically every day. And what was it in 2019 when it was, I don't know what anniversary, that was all that played on Freeform all day was Hocus Pocus. So people just love this. However, I'm a little concerned because I talked with, and Mike knows, a friend of ours, Manning Franks. We were talking about, I think Inside Out is getting a sequel, and Manning was like, oh, that kind of sucks. I was hoping to be standalone. I was like, when it comes to Disney, what is standalone? What really sucks is this movie was a great standalone film, but now it's not. And I'm afraid that it's not because someone went, I got a great idea for a sequel. It's more like, everybody loves this movie. We can make some money off of it if we just do a sequel. Does it ruin the original film? Probably. Also, I looked at the cast. Not a single one of the original cast is back in this sequel, which makes me just go,
you mean outside of the sisters?
Yeah, outside
of the sisters, obviously.
I was gonna say, I swear to God, they were back.
Yeah, no. Outside that, I thought that one without saying. But Max, Allison, all of them, none of them
really.
Yep.
That's weird.
Which I'm like, okay, they don't need to be your main characters, but just imagining these new characters learn about the fact that in 93, the Sandersons got taken down, and we get to see Max and Allison as adults and, whatever. And they could have a son named Thackeray because, that'd be great,
that would be great.
But no. Because why would Disney do that? They only pull out the Star Wars characters. And
hold on, there is one other returning actor. Doug Jones.
Doug Jones.
Yeah!
Which, okay, that's pretty cool because Doug Jones is awesome. Because who didn't love him? And he was on Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, and he talked about this movie, and he talked about how that scene when he cuts the thing open, that's a real moth he had in his mouth, and he had to it was either a real moth or it was like something, but he actually had that stuff and had to hold it until, and he said they did 2 or 3 takes, and he's like, yeah, my mouth was just destroyed after that.
I don't doubt that, but Doug Jones is so freaking committed.
Yeah, I love Doug Jones.
But I have to wonder because they say they killed the Sanderson sisters at the end of this.
We see them.
Yeah,
literally
they physically
turn to dust.
Yeah, they say they killed them, and we know that they're dead because it relieved the curse on Thackeray.
Exactly, and this is so watching it this time, knowing that a sequel's coming. I'm like, yeah, how are you gonna do that?
Do you have the devil come and revive the Sanderson sisters?
Maybe
it's got to be something contrived like that.
It's it's going to be something in the book that wasn't mentioned at all. That's going to be well, actually, they said that there's this asterisk.
The day that the virgin that lit the candle loses his virginity, we can come back.
I really hope not, because I feel bad for my man Max. Took him 30 years.
Can you imagine? He finally has that moment, and then just a giant light hits the sky.
But again, what are your guys' feelings? Have you guys seen the trailer for the sequel?
I nothing outside of a picture of them in costume.
Yeah, I didn't watch the trailer at all.
Okay.
Outside of
so I did
maybe some clips.
So I watched the trailer. I gotta be honest with you guys. Unless this thing is getting insanely good reviews, and when I say insanely good reviews, I don't mean from critics, because I feel like critics are so prone to just they don't care about these years later sequels that kind of bastardize the original. So I'm waiting until for my friends who I know love Hocus Pocus, they come out and they're like, this is great, then maybe I'll watch it. But the trailer, it just looks like regular Disney Channel crap. Just well, we're back at it again. Obviously, the 3 actresses look like they're having incredible fun once again. It's cool that they all came back. It's cool that, and Doug Jones talked about this, that when you look at them, they all aged kind of fine wine, because they obviously look older, but not that much older. But it's just, I love this movie so much, and this is not I said at the beginning of this, I have no childhood nostalgia attached to this. I saw this as a 22-year-old, and yet this movie is, or I guess I was probably 20 actually, but this movie is so much fun, and like I said, it's from that different era when movies could just exist as just a movie, and it didn't need to set up a franchise or a world or any of this. But now Mickey, I just needs a new addition on his land, so we get a sequel to this crap.
We do need to preface this, because anyone that watched this, and also realizing that the last fresh takes, or only other fresh takes we did with you was Top Gun. Here's the thing. We do need to preface this with, I have not in my life seen a years later sequel that was more cared about, and everyone making it gave a shit about it, than that Top Gun Maverick movie.
But here's the difference between Top Gun Maverick and Hocus Pocus 2 is Top Gun doesn't end with Tom Cruise killing all the terrorists and all the evil governments in the world.
I know.
That's the difference.
I know.
A movie being made years later is fine, whereas here it's we literally see these witches get killed. Thackeray gets relieved of the curse. What more can you do? The only thing is that at the end of the movie, because again, I'm watching this going like, do you leave any doors open? Is if you watch the credits, they have some joke things like the parents finally coming out of town hall, which is really funny because they're all like,
oh yeah, that's right,
passed out. But then
the
right before the credits roll, you see the book, and its eye is still moving. That's the only thing I'm like, is that trying to say that there can be a sequel? I'm sure
Possibly.
Disney looked at it and was like, that's enough. It blinked in the credits.
Well, to be fair, they don't need to do too much of that, because do we need to remember how the original Jumanji ended and then where the sequel picked up where the book was or where the board game was?
Fair.
The movie? Jumanji the movie?
Or
I
am
literally
thinking
just watched that on Saturday night. So.
Because, like, if I remember correctly, their origins don't start out in the same, like, it just...
Oh, you're talking about the one with The Rock?
Yeah.
Okay, see, I have not seen those movies. I've only seen the Robin Williams one.
They're actually very good, in my
I've
opinion.
heard that.
Anyway. They're very good in my opinion.
That. But,
and, like,
so yeah. So when you say a sequel to Jumanji, I'm thinking of Sephora.
Honestly, I do kind of count that as a spiritual sequel.
What do you mean? It is literally the book Sephora picks up where Jumanji the book ends. Because hello guys, allow us to talk about Jumanji or Hocus Pocus video for a second. The Jumanji book ends with the parents of the two kids coming home with friends of theirs, and they see their two kids who are like, oh yeah, our boys, they never finish anything they start, and they have Jumanji, which is of course to be like, yeah, you don't, but then it starts and they lose the Jumanji board game and they find Sephora. So that's how it works. Oh. So they are connected. The movies aren't connected at all.
Okay, I was going to say.
Because the movies aren't connected. The books are, but the movies, Robin, nothing is connected there.
Gotcha. Got it. Okay, that makes sense. I was going to say something like, I'm forgetting a part of Sephora. But got it. Okay, yeah. No, like, I'm going to watch it because I'm just going to, it is what it is, and I'm not going to have anything else to do that day. True. But I'm not expecting to get blown away, so I'm going to go in with
low expectations.
Like Sonic's first movie, low expectations. Do I expect to like it as much as I'm probably going to like that first Sonic? I did that first Sonic movie? No.
Yeah, same.
But,
yeah. Like, I'm not going to sit here on Twitter the day it comes out and be like, if you watch this, you're betraying the original. Like, I don't give a shit. But I'm also just like,
it's not something you're in for.
Dude, movies have been being made since, like, the 1800s. There's bound to be another movie that I want to see.
Yeah.
Aside from Hocus Pocus 2 that day. Like, there's got to be at least one out there. Which, by the way, to all the people who are going to hate watch Hocus Pocus 2, dude, you're on Disney Plus. They got a catalog of movies. Odds are you haven't seen them all. Try watching one of the ones you haven't seen before you hate watch Hocus Pocus 2.
I will say, if there's one reason...
hate watch Avatar and then tweet Mike about it.
I will say...
Hey, man, that Fern Gully sequel is pretty good.
If there's one reason to see... if there's one reason to see Hocus Pocus 2, John Debney is coming back to do the score.
So the score is fantastic. The score is very good. Should give credit where credit's due. The score is great in this movie.
The score is great. Now, man, I wonder if we're gonna get some of. I wonder if they're just not crediting those three coming back in the film and they make some guest appearance.
I hope.
They make some Avengers level, we know how to take care of the problem.
Because I swear, if I remember correctly, a couple of years ago, they did a novelization of Hocus Pocus that had, like, a sequel in it.
Really?
If I remember, I could be misremembering. I feel like that sequel book had Max and Allison and all of them back.
Huh.
I feel like I remember that. I could be completely wrong about that.
Do we just know that they're not returning, or the fact that those characters aren't returning?
Well, like I said, I went on IMDb and I looked up the cast list, and they weren't there at all from what I saw.
Okay.
Yeah, I checked Wikipedia too. They're completely absent.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm thinking it's just one of those. Now, whether that means they were asked and didn't want to come back. I'm going to assume not, because I don't think any of those actors are really doing much of anything that they wouldn't take a Disney check.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that it was more just one of these wipe the slate clean and just ignore the past.
Yeah. Which, hey, I guess it's what it is. They're gonna figure out what they want to do. If I get to see the girls have a little fun and it's mildly entertaining, I won't be upset.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to see how they do that. I'm just gonna be the last thing I attempted to watch on Disney Plus outside of She-Hulk was the new Pinocchio.
Yeah.
And
I've heard.
I still haven't gotten around to it.
Don't worry, I watched Andor and I'm like, but She-Hulk's great at least.
Yes, I love She-Hulk.
That's one thing we can agree on.
Yes,
She-Hulk's great.
Yes, but
now we lose a bunch of viewers because we like She-Hulk.
Hey, me and Mike, the most views we've gotten on any Marvel review show we've done was 2 weeks ago's
episode
She-Hulk
5.
Episode 5. It's at 100, so that's something. Whether it's hate watching or not.
Dude, this is what I always say. You want to hate watch my videos, want to downvote, write shit comments? Great. Just helps me in the algorithm. Go right ahead and do it.
Absolutely.
Go right ahead and do it. You're only benefiting me.
Oh, man,
you want to quote
like
tweet
my
me?
video.
Great. Awesome. I actually encourage it because once again, you help me in the algorithm.
Absolutely. All right, everyone.
Oh, man.
We've established that we like the movie. We'll see. Hopefully good. Hopefully, if not, it's just the thing.
We still have the original.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's if nothing else, you still have the original. And it really is just a great way to kick off the fall season.
Oh, absolutely.
It is. I do think it's a fun sort of way to do it. And yeah, that is true. Even today, like I said, watching the end of this movie, the climax is still, when I release my video on my top 5 Disney climaxes, it's still going to be in there, despite the fact that it's a little muddled by the fact that. But then again, that's also like talking about another movie that came out a couple years after this. It's like, watch Brendan Fraser's The Mummy and they kill Imhotep at the end and he comes back in the sequel. Then ruin The Mummy for me when I watch it again.
Yeah.
It's still great.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get on out of here. Matt, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me at Kearns_Matthew on Twitter. You can find me on 2 channels. The first one is Matt Movies 611, where I talk about movies of all sorts. My most recent video, I did a rambling review on Clerks 3. So if you want to watch that, it's like 20 minutes of me just like talking about Kevin Smith and his influence on me and how I cried watching Clerks 3.
Nice.
And then I also do some other more video essays. Then you can also find me on Take 3 Productions. I host, Jesus, how many is it now? I host 3 shows over there. The first is Second Look video essay series, where I take a look at movies that I love that are either under talked about, overhated, and I try to sort of give positive spin. Most recent video was on Star Trek: The Motion Picture. The next episode in that series is going to be on Willow, my favorite fantasy movie. And yes, I'm waiting until November to hopefully try to play the algorithm in my favor. Then I also host a show called The Fandom Podcast. Mike has been a guest on it. It's a show where me and a guest, we talk about one topic and just sort of why we love it. It's on hiatus for right now. We'll be coming back in the new year. And then I also co-host a show called Simple Tricks and Nonsense with my buddy Abe. That is a show where 2 friends of many years just kind of hit go live on StreamYard, and the things that come out of Abe's mouth is the reason why it takes me a long time to edit. We talked about Will Smith's slap like 2 days after it happened. Abe said one of the reasons why Armageddon is a great movie because it succeeds where the Nazis failed in destroying Paris. These are the things that come out of this man's mouth, and it's why you should give us a watch. And then also, yeah, no, that is a true thing Abe said in an episode. You can also find me with my buddy Manning Franks as we continue our 6-part Bond retrospective in honor of the 60th anniversary of James Bond. New episode, which hopefully this Thursday will be going live. We'll talk about the films of Pierce Brosnan. And then next month in October, it's the 60th anniversary, and we get to the end where we talk about films of Daniel Craig, who, spoilers, is not close to my favorite Bond. So if you want to come and downvote me, once again, you just help me in the algorithm.
All right, Mike, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You're also on YouTube, on Podchaser, on the Banana Meter. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we.
Absolutely. You can find me everywhere at Organoid Zero, mostly on Twitch and YouTube, where by the time this comes up, She-Hulk will be done. And I'll be streaming mostly horror games on my Twitch channel and still be doing the Zeroing Out podcast, which will 3 episodes in by then. Pretty excited to actually have a regular going podcast going, and then I don't know if we'll do a review for Hocus Pocus. We're going to see how that movie plans out. So I'm not going to promise that. But we'll see. All right. Until next time. See you all later. Bye.
Peace.